working hard overtime. Gotta get them gifts ready, turn them on the dime.
Welcome everyone to this November 19th City Council meeting. We have a full house. I will tell you the anteroom next door, if other people come in, they don't have a seat, there's a room next door. It's got the TVs in it. And so if you would let anybody know coming in late, if they want to have a place to sit, they're welcome to go over there and sit. With that, we will start with our call to order. And we have Dr. Kenneth Tate here with us to do our invocation night from Antioch Missionary Baptist Church. Dr. Tate, if you will come up, sir, and then we'll do our pledge of allegiance. Thank you for doing this, Dr. Tate.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mayor, for all of our very fine, distinguished council members, and city managers, and attorney, and to all of you wonderful citizens and members of the Goldsboro area. Let us join ourselves in prayer. Gracious God, our Father, we thank you for this wonderful day and certainly for this marvelous occasion. Thank you, Lord, for the leadership that is represented here, and all the concerned citizens. And God, we pray that your spirit of wisdom will fall upon us all tonight as the business, not only of the city and the county and the state and America, but the business of the Lord would be done tonight. And that when we leave this place, we would leave with a sense of knowing that we've done our part and we leave the rest of it in God's hands. For that, God, we thank you. It is in the precious name, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have roll call.
Mayor Allen.
Here.
Mayor President
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Broadway.
Here.
Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Councilmember Foster.
Present.
Councilmember Raymond.
Here.
We're all here. Next, we have the minutes of the work session and regular meeting of November 5th, 2018 for approval.
Move to adopt. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed likewise. The minutes are approved. Next, we have a resolution expressing appreciation for service rendered by Kim Dawson as an employee of the city of Goldsboro for more than 23 years. So Kim will read this and then we're going to come up and give it to you. Resolution expressing appreciation for service rendered by Kimberly Dawson as an employee of the city of Goldsboro for more than 23 years. Kim Dawson retires on December 1, 2018 as the Assistant Finance Director with the Finance Department of the city of Goldsboro with more than 23 years of service. Kim began her career on November 15, 1995 as a payroll accounting technician with the Finance Department. April 18, 2001, she was promoted to accounting analyst with the Finance Department. August 19, 2004, she was promoted to accounting specialist with the Finance Department. October 8, 2018, she was promoted to accounting services manager. I never knew we had so many darn spots in the Finance Department. On January 8, 2014, Kim's position was reclassified as an assistant finance director, where she has served until retirement. Kim has proven herself to be a dedicated and efficient public servant who has gained the admiration and respect of her fellow workers and the citizens of the city of Goldsboro. Whereas the mayor, city council of the city of Goldsboro desires, on behalf of themselves, city employees, and the citizens of the city of Goldsboro, of expressing to Kim Dawson their deep appreciation and gratitude for the service rendered by her to the city of Goldsboro over these years. Therefore, be it resolved by the mayor and the city council of the city of Goldsboro that, number one, we express our deep appreciation and gratitude to Kim for the dedicated service rendered during her tenure with the city of Goldsboro, and offer her our very best wishes for success, happiness, prosperity, and good health in her future endeavors. This resolution shall be incorporated into the official minutes of the city of Goldsboro and shall be in full force and effect from and after this, the 19th day of November 2018. I'll offer this for adoption.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All right, the resolution is in full force, Kim.
Do what?
I said, has a retirement ever not been approved?
We'll call you back for that. We'll call you back.
I call kind of Kim and Kay, they're kind of the finance team here. I got a lot of really good people working there. But Kay, how long have you been here?
39 years.
So you look at all this experience, this fixing the Kay's retiring too, for you that might not know it, the audience. So we're like fixing to have a huge void in our accounting department that we have really not had to do anything with. We always get the best ratings, the best this. because Kim and Kay, her team, are like the dynamic duo, and they do phenomenal work. And I don't know, we're gonna have to hire them back as a consultant, we're gonna have to do something, because they're gonna be truly missed. And as you know, you don't wanna mess up public dollars. And they take it very serious, and have done just phenomenal work. Kay, you wanna say anything?
Yeah, you know I do. Kim came to work in 1995, and I tell her I never forget when she walked in and we interviewed her. She had a blue dress on. That's how she was interviewing for a job I was vacating. So she has kind of followed me along. We're to the point now that we can almost answer each other's questions or before we answer. So I'm going to miss her. I can't believe next week that she will be gone. And she won't be there to answer my questions. Or I can go in there I can just hand her a piece of paper and she would know what to do with it. So she's been very instrumental in making sure that all our accounting, all our dollars are being done correctly. And I can't say how much I really appreciate her, and I'm going to miss her. We're going to stay in contact. I done told her, so we're not worried about that. But I cannot leave without telling her today is Kim's birthday.
All right.
Kay, you leave, so I'm not singing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kim. Happy birthday to you.
Mr. Slater will go off key. All right, Kim, you want to talk or you just want to get the picture and sit down?
Well, thank you for the birthday song. I didn't know I have a packed house. I'm just very thankful for my years in the city. I think the finance department is the best department in the city. And I'm just grateful for everybody in that department, for Kay. We've been through a lot of good times, bad times. I love the city, I love the employees, and I miss them. But I'm thankful.
All right, well, let's get, Kay, will you help me do this?
I will help you do this.
All right.
You gonna get a picture?
Absolutely. You see the impression for hard work. Smile.
Got it.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Kay wants one. So
Kay wants one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna share the mine.
Look. Still trying to make money here. Thank you. Very much. Thank you.
Okay, that's all we have under presentation. So next we move to public hearings. Our first one is CU 1118 Stephen Hall. Jennifer?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Good evening.
Item C is CU 1118 Stephen Hall. The property is located on the east side of North William Street between Brogdon Street and Rayner Street. The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to allow operation of a used car lot within the general business district. The sale of used vehicles is a permitted use within the general business zoning district after the issuance of a conditional use permit approved by City Council. Council previously approved the property on September the 13th, 1993 for the operation of a used car lot and service center. The property has been vacant for more than 6 months and now requires a conditional use permit in order to operate. The submitted site plan indicates an existing 264 square foot building proposed for the use as a sales office located at the front of the property. Another existing 350 square foot building is located behind the sales office and is proposed for washing and cleaning vehicles. Hours of operation is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday with 2 employees. A portion of the property is located in a special flood hazard area identified as the 100-year floodplain, which is at the rear of the property, and the applicant has been informed the use of this area is prohibited from the display and/or storage of any vehicles, parts, or equipment associated with the operation of the business. Parking is required at 1 space per employee and 5 customer spaces. The applicant proposes up to 10 display vehicles, and the site plan indicates both customer and employee parking. Due to existing site conditions, the applicant is requesting a number of modifications as it relates to the city's landscape requirements. and they are as follows. A type A 5-foot buffer requirement along the northern and southern property lines, street trees along North William Street, and vehicular surface area landscaping. There is a type A 5-foot buffer that is required along the eastern property line, and existing vegetation fulfills this requirement. At this time, there is no action necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for council at your December 3rd meeting. Here's some photos of the property. This is a front elevation. Any questions for staff?
Thank you, Jeff. This is a public hearing for a conditional use permit to allow operation of a used car lot within the general business district. Would anybody like to speak? Would anybody like to speak? If you're going to have to be sworn in, so if you would stop there by the clerk and she will swear you in. Anybody speaking on the conditional use has to be sworn in, just so you know. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Brian Woodard, and I represent Group W, the owners of the property that's been subject here tonight for the conditional use hearing. I just want to paint a clear picture that, as you saw from the site plan, it's intended that this will be a well-organized, neatly presented car sales lot. I hate to use the term used all the time. But pre-owned automobiles, we're not talking about a mechanic shop or any type of repo business that would encumber the back of the property with additional storage items. The gentlemen that are before you with the conditional use and the operators of the business, I can tell you from the very beginning, have taken the proper channels to communicate with the city and the staff here downtown to make sure that they're observing all the protocol that's necessary for them to start the business. And we hope that you see this as being a favorable use to the property and hopefully a positive impact to the neighborhood. So with that, I'll stop my comments, and if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brian.
Would anybody else like to speak? Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we're going to close this public hearing, and we're going to move to item D, CU 1218, Dale Bevel.
Item D is CU 1218 Dale Bevel. The property is located on the east and west sides of North Carolina Street between A Street and Hooks River Road. The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to allow an automobile recycling business with outdoor storage within the I-2 General Industry Zoning District. Recycling of metal, paper, and other materials are a permitted use with the issuance of a conditional use permit within the I-2 zone. The request includes 2 tracts of land, one on the west side of North Carolina Street and one on the east side of North Carolina Street. Tract 1, which is on the west side of North Carolina Street, has a total area of 11.2 acres, and Tract 2 is on the east side of North Carolina Street and also has frontage on North George Street, has a total area of 16.92 acres. Total area for both tracts is 28.12 acres. The property is currently owned and occupied by XL Home Fashions Incorporated. If the conditional use permit is granted, the applicant plans to purchase and occupy the space for an automobile recycling business with outdoor storage. The property contains 2 existing metal buildings. Tract 1 contains an existing 80,000 square foot building, while Tract 2 contains a 78,000 square foot building. The applicant proposes to occupy the existing building on Tract 2 immediately for office space and storage of automobile parts. Tract 2 will also provide for outdoor storage area of automobiles once automobile parts have been removed and stored. At this time, the applicant has indicated that Tract 1 is for future storage use. Hours of operation is 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Friday with 28 employees. City water and sewer lines are available to serve the subject property. Impervious area will be increased as the applicant proposes gravel within the outdoor storage area of Tract 2. Stormwater calculations, grading, and drainage plans will be required and subject to approval by city engineering prior to any permits being issued. The submitted site plan indicates the outdoor storage area south of the existing building on Tract 2. An existing 8-foot chain link fence surrounds both tracts, and the applicant proposes to improve the existing fence with utilizing existing poles and replace the chain link with metal solid fencing. Materials stored within the identified outdoor storage area shall not stack higher than the 8-foot fence or be visible from any public right-of-way. Adequate parking spaces for employees and customers are indicated on the site plan, and a minimum of 33 parking spaces are required, and 84 spaces have been provided. A total of 19 street trees are required along North George Street for Track 2, and due to the location of the existing fence, the applicant is requesting a modification for the street tree requirements along Carolina Street for both tracks. Existing vegetation satisfy buffer requirements along the northern and western property lines, and the applicant is requesting a modification of the Type A 10-foot landscape buffer along the southern property lines due to existing and proposed 8-foot solid metal fencing. At this time, there is no action necessary. The Planning Commission will have a recommendation for your meeting on December the 3rd. I do have several photos of the site. This is actually Track 1, as I've indicated. This is Carolina Street. This is looking at Track 2 from Carolina Street, which would be the rear of the building from George. This is the view from George Street where existing parking is, where the 84 spaces will be. And this is a view of the outdoor storage area for Track 2. And then this is the front elevation on George Street of Track 2. Any questions for staff?
Yes. Have we ever had a salvage yard in the city this close to residents?
You have an existing, you have Goldsboro Iron and Wet Metal, which is in the middle of the city surrounded by residential.
Okay. But not,
however, probably
it's not,
I mean, it hasn't had to comply with the big, our
exactly, so it's still different than this.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Just want to make sure.
Any more questions?
That was, no, my question was, I guess, kind of similar to Councilman Foster's. The recycling, the Goldsboro, however, recycling is over off of Royal, correct? And that's primarily for recycling metals.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but it's not automotives, correct?
Not.
They do some.
It could
They
be
do some.
some parts, yes, sir.
I mean, they take
They
take cars,
yes,
but they don't
yes.
sell parts for the cars.
Right, that's more along the lines. Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, this is a conditional use permit to allow an automobile recycling business with outdoor storage within the I-2 general industry zoning district. And this is a conditional use permit, as I said, so anybody that wants to speak has got to get sworn in. And from the phone calls, emails, and all that we've gotten, I feel like there's going to be several people that want to speak. We will get to everybody who wants to speak. But what I'd like to say is let's start with the first 5. Let the clerk swear you in. Let's get these 5, and then we'll just go to the next 5. So just the first 5 that would like to come speak, please come speak.
Raise your right hand and place your left on the Bible. Do you swear or affirm the comments you're about to provide are the whole truth and nothing but the truth and nothing else? Yes. And if you will, just state your name when you get up there.
Good evening, sir.
Timothy L. Dorch. Mayor Allen and members of the council, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Timothy L. Dorch, and I'm coming before you as the senior pastor of Word of Truth Christian Fellowship, formerly Eastern Chapel Missionary Baptist Church, located at 1401 North Carolina Street here in Goldsboro. I stand before you tonight on behalf of our church family, many of which are present tonight, to openly oppose the issuance of a conditional use permit to allow an automobile recycling business with outside storage within the I-2 General Industry Zoning District. For one, our church family moved from a junkyard located directly beside the church over 8.5 years ago and simply do not want to relive that experience. The owner of that establishment, known at that time as Goldsboro Iron and Metal Company, felt the need to start working on Sundays, resulting in noise pollution, God bless you, that proved to be distracting to our congregants as well as to me. Additionally, finding pieces of metal on our property became commonplace. Moreover, at any given time, several of our parishioners, as well as visitors, returned to their cars after services to find one of their tires flat as a result of debris that was not contained within the fenced-in area. Although the property in question is not directly beside our church's sanctuary, it is, however, behind and across from the portion of our property that our mission building sits on, which houses our food pantry. Our mission ministry serves an average of 135 people in the community per week on Mondays between 9 a.m. and 12 noon. This service includes food, clothes, and other supplies, and includes a compartment for furnishings for those who may have lost their furniture due to floods or fire. Our previous experience has proven that a junkyard will bring vermin and other pests, resulting in unnecessary frustration to those who volunteer on a weekly basis. Finally, a business of this sort will certainly decrease the value of our property as well as that of properties connected to it. In closing, we have made every effort to do our part in beautifying our city with a facility that the Goldsboro City Council permitted us to build. Can you honestly say that another junkyard within the city limits will do the same thing? Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We also have a petition.
If you have it, give it to Melissa, to the clerk right there. That'd be great. Thank you. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and other city council members. I am Terry Dortch, wife of Pastor Dortch at Word of Truth Christian Fellowship. I stand with my husband as a tax-paying citizen and the property owner in Wayne County and in the Goldsboro city limits. As current property owners of our previous home on Peachtree Street, we were asked to maintain this property without any nuisances of noise, trash dumping, junk, abandoned cars, or other eyesores, and no storage of biohazardous and toxic materials. But if we are reported to have any of these or other issues on our property, the City of Goldsboro sends us a letter stating that we are in violation of city ordinances. And if the issues are not corrected, cleaned up, or disposed of, we, the property owners, will be cited and fined. The city will not accept a remedy of offense or other means to hide the mess. The only remedy is to remove the mess. Now, how is it that the city can hold us to a certain standard and not follow that same standard itself? How is it that we have to keep our property from being a junkyard or be fined, but the city can welcome hundreds of flooded junk cars, waste materials, and certain hazards to come in? And here again, a big red fence surrounding the property is not going to remedy the junk. Mr. Ham, you are the councilman for District 5, which is a district for our house on Peachtree Street, where we lived for 17 years and still pay taxes on. When you and the others who are not in District 1 vote, you will be voting on allowing another junkyard to come within city limits, but not in your districts. I am sure that this proposal would not be welcome or even considered to come in your district besides St. Mary's Catholic Church or Goldsboro Worship Center and their surrounding neighborhoods. Is this neighborhood, or North End period, a place the Planning Commission and City Council deem worthy of junk and devaluation? You say revitalize downtown and let's get rid of eyesores and abandoned buildings that breed crime, but then consider a business that breeds toxic runoff, asbestos, vermin, snakes, mosquitoes, air pollution, noise, and post-flood hazards with no gains for the city besides tax revenue and possibly some other unknown kickbacks. It is puzzling and especially noteworthy that Mr. Bevel wants to move his business onto a street that is about a half-mile long, cuts off at both ends with no easy or flowing access to any highways. It would literally be a cut-off hole, already hard for tractor trailers now to maneuver in and out of, increasing damage already done to our church's grounds on the corner of 8th Street and Carolina Street. We are watching your votes on this and other proposals And we would hope we have city officials who regard their constituents and don't subject them to obvious risks and harms. Permitting this business in the city is not representative of the citizens of Goldsboro, and the proposal itself feels like a slap in the face to us as citizens and taxpayers. We are asking each of you to vote no on this proposal. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, come on, somebody. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Rayvonda Sheely Jacobs. I am the senior pastor of the Word Warehouse located at 1303 Florida Street, and also our business office at 606 A Street. We also own quite a bit of property in that area. And at this time, I'm very deeply concerned, and along with myself and other congregants of my congregation, we do not accept this proposal. We are totally, completely against this proposal. It concerns me deeply that the city did not even notify us of this proposal. We live within a half mile or a mile of this particular situation, of this site. We never even got a notice that this was in progress, and that really concerns me. And just as the other pastors have said, it concerns me that you would allow the city to put another dump in the middle of the city. We have a huge one already up north end that has been there for years, older than I am almost. So how could you stand there and put another dump in the center of the city? We are totally, completely against this. I do not have my petition as the other church does, but I could have it. If I had known it before now, we could have had it done, but we had no notice that this was proposed. So I would appreciate it as a citizen, as much taxes as we have to pay, that you would allow at least enough time to give people time to know these things. You need to get them out earlier so that we can be more betterly informed of these things. But we are completely and totally against this decision.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we hope that you would vote against.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Excuse me, ma'am, before you speak, let me, if I may, correct something. We're not proposing this recycling place. This was requested by an individual, so we're here to listen to the discussion about it. But the city has not proposed that it go there. Just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. I'm Sudie Davis. I am familiar with many of you, and each of you received a letter from me. I am very concerned. We do live in your district, Mr. Williams, over here. In fact, our property would be right directly behind this. The city came through several years ago and put in storm sewers, much needed. I have no fault with that. But they cut down a bunch of big trees. And now in the wintertime, my kitchen window looks out on what would be that mess. And I strongly object to having to look at that while I do dishes or cook in my kitchen. We are very concerned. My neighbors and I have been out over the weekend knocking on doors. My finger is bruised from knocking on doors. I feel strongly that this is not a business that needs to be put in that location. We have talked with residents on our side of Carolina Street, and we've reached out to the residents over on Virginia Street and the other side of Carolina Street. We have signed petitions, and I did not talk to anybody in all of those contacts who was in favor of an automobile recycling center in our neighborhood, in our backyards. All I can do is ask you that when this does come up for a vote, please to vote by saying no. It's just an inappropriate business for that location.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and I'll be addressing you guys, but I'm hoping everybody behind me can hear me very well. So I have some of the concerns will be addressed, and I've actually written this out because there's some specific items I wanted to make sure I addressed, and I didn't want to leave anything out. So my name is Dale Bevel, and my family owns and operates Wayne Auto Salvage and its subsidiary Bevel's Pull Yourself Use Auto Parts. We will be celebrating 50 years in Goldsboro and Wayne County next year, and we're proud to be here. We are asking the city to grant us the conditional use permit on property located on North Carolina, Georgia, on North Carolina and the end of Georgia and Carolina streets, currently owned by Excel Indy. The property is currently and appropriately zoned industrial, which allows and permits for the intended use, but it is necessary for us to have outside storage for our inventory. Therefore, we're required to get the CUP. We have met with the planning department on several occasions, submitted our site plan, discussed any and all compliance issues, and have agreed that we want to make a positive impact on this area. The representatives from Excel Indy had questions about our use during the negotiation phase, since they will still be our neighbors. I trust we put their concerns at ease since we now have purchase terms with them. Our plans are to move only our full service division, Wayne Auto Salvage, to the new location. Bevel's Pull Yourself and its crushing operation will not be moving from its current location. Wayne Auto Salvage has always been an industry leader, and this move will allow us to be in the top 3% of privately owned auto recycling facilities nationwide. We are active members of the Carolina Auto Recyclers, United Recyclers Group, Automotive Recyclers Association, where we are a proud Gold Seal certified member. We are members of Team PRP and IPART. Our full service division currently employs 28 people, and this move is expected to increase that by 25 employees more over the next 2 to 3 years. Make no mistake, our goal is to be a positive impact on the area. This project is estimated to cost us $2.2 million plus. The word salvage in our name brings visions of a junkyard, and I get it. I get it. If I lived there, I'd be asking questions too, and I appreciate people asking questions. But we're not a junkyard and we're not a scrapyard. We only generate salvage as a byproduct of our business, and our business is selling used quality OEM replacement automobile parts to garages, body shops, insurance companies, and individuals. We do not buy any product other than automobiles, and we do not stack anything high or have piles of scrap. We do not have cranes, we don't have magnets, we don't have excavators. We do not have torches, we don't use chop saws, and we don't have pinchers. We do not have vermin, we do not have trash, and we do not have pests. The outside storage area we need is a holding area for our end-of-life vehicles before, during, and after we're processing them. Our outside storage will look like one big parking lot. It will be neat and tidy and will not be visible for anywhere outside of our facility. As a dedicated automobile recycler, it is our job to depollute all these vehicles we buy and recycle as much of the vehicle as possible. No pollution goes on the ground or in the air. We have all North Carolina permits, including stormwater permits, and we have a stormwater plan. The only noise we generate outside are trucks making deliveries and picking up parts. All-terrain forklifts with a backup alarm is used, and our crusher that arrives and operates 1 or 2 days per month comes off-site, and we also have an occasional sawzall maybe on the yard cutting something. The only dust we might create is minimal, and it will only be from that all-terrain forklift when it's really dry, throwing dust up behind it as it rides along. Improvements. We will be erecting a new 8-foot-high solid steel screen fence around all portions of the facility where outside storage may be visible and not currently screened by existing vegetative buffers. We will be repairing or replacing the roof, the gutters, the siding on both warehouses as needed. At least one building would have a nice fresh coat of paint. We will be building a state-of-the-art office to handle our current and our anticipated growth. This will include outside landscaping and some major curb appeal. Our current and proposed business hours at this location are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30. Again, that's Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30. And 80% of our customer base is wholesale, meaning we don't have a lot of traffic from outside customers. Bevel's Pull Yourself, which I think a lot of people are thinking this is going to be, that is a little different business. This is completely wholesale. Our guys are only ones who take parts off at Wayne Auto Salvage. And we understand we are an unknown industry to most people, and in this room it sounds like we are, and television shows and TV shows do us no favors at all. Most people pass right by our current facility and don't even know we're here or what we do. We would like to educate anyone who has questions with a tour of our current facility and a first-hand conversation with one of our owners or our managers. Goldsboro and Wayne County are our home. We're proud to be part of this community. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize this community. If we have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them at this time or later if you need me to. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, that's our first 5. Would anybody else like to speak in the audience? Anybody else want to speak on this? Anybody else? I see a couple more coming from the back. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, Council. My name is Ron Davis, and I currently reside in Bolingbrook Estates, which is in the northwest portion of the county. But my house of worship is the Word Warehouse over on 1303 Florida Street with the admin building at 606 8th Street. I would like to express my objection to the presence of this auto salvage business, I call it junkyard, in the community, because I don't believe that it meets the standards of the Wayne County Comprehensive Plan for Housing and Neighborhoods Vision. Policy 7.9 states the proposed residential development that would expose residents to harmful effects of incompatible development or the development hazards should be discouraged. And I think this business in this area is incompatible with this residential area, and I do feel that it will create hazards. A junkyard in a place that contains a lot of junk products, such as junk automobiles, electrical, batteries, and such parts, can affect the environment. Most of the environmental effects occur during dismantling of the reusable parts that the junkyards target for profit. The operation of the salvage yard will, in one way or the other, affect the environment of this community. Many of these products may contain a lot of hazardous chemicals, which adversely affect the environment, which over time could, in fact, damage the environment, the water, seep into the soil, and things like that. These contaminants could, over time, be introduced into the air. The facility could be a hazard to children. You know, children are curious. You know, they could climb that fence, or they could get in and be injured. The yard owner may not be mindful of the soils or the pools of water in their yard. The soil that is carried away by the wind, the water that evaporates in the atmosphere could become harmful. This means that the toxins in the yard the owner allows on his property ends up in everybody's property and is a problem for everyone. In addition, the incompatibility of the development in the neighborhood could adversely affect the value of properties in the vicinity of this business. I've read of articles where other communities had this problem throughout the country, and the residents saw at least a 25% drop in their property valuation. Proverbs 13:22 states that a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children. Devalued property, polluted property is not the inheritance that we want to leave to our children and their children. Finally, I read articles on this situation in other communities, and to notice that
the drop in evaluation was widespread, and it really hurt the individual's properties. I really thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Donald Rouse. I'm a member of the Word Warehouse. I grew up in that neighborhood. I have relatives that still live in that area, close to the proximity of the proposed salvage yard. I am a retired science teacher, so when we began to talk about the finances, I understand the situation that he is presenting. But when you start salvaging and you start putting this metal here, maybe for the first few years, it may be fine. But over a period of time, you get the accumulation of this metal. When he made his presentation, Mr. Bevel, he said it was for storage also. Over a period of time of storage, it's going to devalue the property. It's going to devalue the property of our church. It's going to devalue the property of the land that we have in a close proximity to the location, and it would not be conducive to the development of that area. I strongly oppose this allowing that business to be placed in the area of Goldsboro.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think we have one more. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Zach Harris, and for 51 years, our family has lived at 1706 Middleton Road. My dad was also named Zach Harris, and when I was a child, the creek that runs on the property line that divides those, I drank that water. Okay? And so there could be children who drink that water. There'll be people playing in those woods. And so any contaminants that would get down in there, that's one of the main concerns for us. We moved back to Goldsboro to take care of my mother, who died this past New Year's Eve. We've spent 3.5 years fixing up her old house. And the day that we got it fixed up, we got the letter that they were planning to do this to the backyard. And we have a very nice, quiet neighborhood. At night, you can look at the stars. We've got to imagine that there would be light, there would be noise, all kinds of things that would disrupt that kind of an atmosphere for neighbors. And so we went around. The petitions that you were given, they were from the church, they were from the neighborhood. It actually has brought a bunch of folks together. And in that process, I didn't find a single person who was for having this kind of facility near us. I did get to talk to a Mr. Chris Cox, who, as soon as I made a couple of phone calls, the next day this man showed up at my door to explain to me basically what was explained here. And he said, that's the tract 1, that's our backyard. He said that property would never be used. And I said, well, it's never going to be used. If that's put in writing, that would be great for me. Oh, it couldn't put it in writing because it might be used. And then, then the next day, I got this from the state that shows I-795 is going to be expanded down 117 that appears to run right through Mr. Bevel's current salvage yard, and one might suspect that salvage yard is going to have to move somewhere. And even though tract 1 is not designated to do anything now, one might suspect that it would be possible to be used for that purpose later on. And so that's my concern. You could call that the Matlock concern, okay? Certainly not Sherlock Holmes, but it kind of falls into place. So I appreciate you listening to me. I am against it for a number of different reasons. And one of the things my good friend, Pastor Dortch here, he and his congregation certainly do not need that kind of distraction as they are trying to to worship the Lord and also take care of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Harris, I gave you a word. I gave a word to Miss you and your lovely wife, Miss Karen. We will speak about this before we end here today. But thank you once again for coming.
Thank
you. I don't know if anyone else is going to speak. But
Okay, is there anybody else who wants to speak? Anybody else who wants to speak? Now, you've already spoke.
No, yes.
I have one request. May I ask everybody who is opposed to this to stand?
No, you cannot, because I was going to do that. So when I get ready, I'll let you know. There, sir, you need to get sworn in. Is there anybody next door? Jennifer, can you see if anybody's next door and if they want to speak, just to be sure we include everybody? We're good? Good evening.
Hey, Mayor Chuck.
How are you this evening?
I'm Mary Jo Dudley.
Good evening.
I live at 1704 Middleton Road. Kind of nervous. I don't speak in front of people much.
You're fine.
But this, what they're proposing to put there is in our backyard. I've lived there since 66. My parents built a house in 66. I've lived there except for 5 years. So I've been in that subdivision a long time. And I don't want to see a junkyard in my backyard. And there, like Rocky said, Zach is my neighbor. I call him Rocky. That's what I've known him as since a kid.
Did you drink water out of the creek with him?
No, but we did have a, and Rocky didn't mention this, but we did have a swing. The house I used to live in, my home place, we had a tire, and we could swing across. We had a log across the creek, and we could swing across. We sure did, and I did do that when I was little. But we do have a creek behind there, and it's a natural creek, and I don't feel like it would be beneficial to have that back there. Plus, I don't want. I'm not like Sudie. My kitchen is in the back, but if they do cut down some of the trees, I do have a vacant lot behind me, and I'll probably see it too. We do hear a lot of noise there now, and like the church, I've talked to the church people too, and they don't need it back there. I really think they could find another place somewhere without disrupting our neighborhood.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Council. My name is Chris Cox, Cox Properties, commercial real estate here in Goldsboro. I actually represent Mr. Bevel. I introduced this property to him because I thought it would be a good fit. So I have to take some of that responsibility for all these people here tonight. I felt compelled to come up since Pastor Harris I did meet with. I tried to meet with every single landowner that bordered the property to inform them prior to this meeting so they would understand what we were trying to propose. I did say that, to put it in context, what Mr. Harris said, I did say that nothing would be there, but what we were talking about was just the wooded area, not the area where the building sits. He has no plans to do anything with the wooded area. He wants to keep that as a natural buffer. And it is a very wide natural buffer, so he doesn't have any plans to do anything with that. This property has been zoned industrial for, I guess, 40 years. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been zoned industrial. And Mr. Bevel doesn't want to be a bad neighbor. He wants to be a good neighbor. And he's going to lengths that the ordinance doesn't require to try to be a good neighbor. There's a lot of uses that the ordinance allows without a CUP. So a lot of the things that everybody is talking about here tonight can be done on this property without any CUP. Okay? So I just want to make sure everybody understands, if this is turned down, the next group or whatever coming along may not have to come here to do what all of these things that people are worried about can do. They can actually do there anyway. So for Mr. Bevel to do the things he's trying to do, he's putting up a high fence. The CUP would actually disallow almost everything the community is worried about because the council has the control. That's the point of the CUP. So I hope the council and the members here would take all of that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, last call. Anybody else want to speak? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Anybody else? Because we're going to cut it off after these two unless you stand up now. Anybody else after these two? Okay.
Raise your right hand and place your left on the Bible. Do you swear or affirm that the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Gary. There's most of the ladies in here, but if their husbands were here, they will all know me. And 54 years ago, I came to Goldsboro. I worked for another man. And I went in business for myself 49 and a half years ago in Mount Olive. And the business I was originally working at, which was Goldsboro Auto Parts, which is out there, was originally owned by Langston. I bought it. Nothing. And I made a go of it. I worked as high as maybe 60 people in Wayne County. And I named it Wayne Auto Salvage because nobody knew who Gary Bevel was, and nobody really cared who Gary Bevel was. Well, we tried to be a good Christian family. We tried to do everything right. We won every award, give you one on the state and national, international level that is given. He's run the Recycle of the Year. I've run the Recycle of the Year on the international level. We've won just about every award you can get. I can't even name them. There's so many. I've run the Carolina Auto Recyclers, which is all the people in North Carolina that have salvage yards. For 10 years, I think, and out of my back pocket. That organization's been in business for 56 years, I think. But we do not have rats. We do not have rodents. The office is as clean as this building floor here. Our promise is just as clean. The shop is as clean as this, except for the grease you get onto it when you take the part off the car. When the car comes in, it is drained in its entirety. There's no fluid in the field. There's no fluid in the building. It's put in containers. And they come in once a month or so. We burn the gas. That saves us a little bit. But they come in once a month or so and pick the fluids up and haul them off. I think one of the places burned up in Colorado last week. They haul it to. We have no pilferage whatsoever. We get rid of everything on the car. When we get through, we crush the car and carry it down to a flat pancake. And then we load 16 or 18 on a truck and they'll haul it there. And I believe the storage we're asking for is for 1,300 cars. There's no more than a big parking lot. You go to Walmart and you see 1,300 cars parked there. And that's exactly what we'll have is 1,300 cars. And each car's got a slot. It sits in that slot. It never moves. That's KISS thing. And that is called the, you call it GNA car slot if you want to. Or you can call it the 99 Ford LTD. And that slot is for that car. And it goes there and it doesn't move once it gets there. We go take the parts off if we need them, but we don't get off when it comes in originally. Originally it's stripped to the ground. And we get everything off that we think is going to sell. But a lot of parts still we don't think will sell. So we keep them like a quarter pound and we have to go and cut it off. But it's, we look at the place and it's very clean. And I challenge anybody on the council or the planning board, or anybody in this room to come down and we'll be glad to walk you around and show you the yard and let you see how they've been working and clean the yard. And what you see on the ground is nothing. It's nothing. It is clean. This is pretty as forward ground is. Except when it rains. It does good with money. We're here for serious. We're not going to interrupt anybody's church. In fact, the churches would absolutely love to have us there. We do donate to churches. We do things for people. We're very active. My son has been on the Boy Scout Council for many years. I was Scoutmaster. And I had 7 Eagle Scouts get an Eagle under me, and I don't know how many he got under him. But we're very active in the community, and we try to do what's right. And I think you'll find that if we go out there, the people will begin to love us and enjoy us, and we'll be coming over just to sit down and have a cup of coffee or talk or whatever. We're not here. We're not playing. We're very serious.
Thank you. Any questions? No,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I
Thank you, sir.
appreciate you talking to me.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David.
Good evening, ma'am.
Not gonna make it long. I live in North End. I've lived in North End my whole life. The iron and metal, the one that's already there, just a few pictures, just to show you. Me and the children have come here before and talked to you about the blight. Feel like if you listen to the common thread here, everybody who came and spoke has been a part of the North End community for a long time. Eastern Chapel's been a part for a long time. Ward Warehouse for a long time. The other people grew up in that neighborhood. So kind of what we're looking at here is we want to revitalize that community, and even with the junkyard coming or the salvage yard or however clean it is going to be, it's not a part of our community that we feel is going to help us. Is it going to create jobs? Probably not. They already have people already hired that already work for them. The bakery creates jobs. People in our community can go there and stop some of the crime. Also, when you have the salvage yards, we're already looking to stop poverty and crime in our community. And when you bring things that make it easier for people to kind of go straight there, like with the iron and metal, we started having more break-ins. A lot of our copper stolen. If you look at the community around the iron and metal, it's dilapidated. That's where we had our dirt roads still. So you're looking at having a junkyard almost in walking distance of another one. That really does say a lot. It's very hurtful to have and to look at, to see. And I believe our community is working on revitalizing to build more homes, to get more veterans in our community, to get more places, schools, community centers. So a salvage yard just does not seem like the thing that we honestly need to build the community. And I know you all been tearing down a lot of old houses because we want to revitalize it. So I don't think this really helps revitalize the community. Just doesn't think it's a good fit.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we are going to close this public hearing, but before everyone leaves, so I don't get reprimanded by Ms. Sudi, if you're here for this, just by show of hands, let us know that you're here for this tonight.
Mr. Mayor.
For or opposed?
Wait. He didn't mean that. He meant to know everyone that came here specifically for this item.
Yeah, I didn't ask. Yes. No, I'm just for here, okay? It's pretty obvious with your for or against. That really is not an issue, okay? Because my other side of the comment is, first, I just want to say, even in adversity, this is good, because what did it do? It got this neighborhood up, it got this neighborhood out, it probably got you talking to neighbors you hadn't talked to in a while. And so anything we do to build our community is good. I do want you to know the Planning Commission's here, they've heard everybody's concerns. Our concern and our job is to take this information and do what is the best, first of all, for the welfare of the neighborhood. I think that's what we always look after first, and then the betterment of the city in general, okay? So I can tell you, everybody here has heard you. I can tell you that we always take what the neighborhood believes and wants. In the 20 years I've been here, we've always done that. I think you'll see that again. But most of all, I just want to thank all of you for coming out and for being involved, because that's what makes our city a great city, is when people get involved, when you care about your neighborhood, and when you come out and fight for your neighborhood. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight. And just to let you know, the Planning Commission meets Monday, next Monday at 7 o'clock in this room here. You're welcome to come here to discussion. You can't talk, and then we won't ask you questions, but you're welcome to come if you want to come. And then it'll come back to our city council meeting for a vote the first Monday in December, Monday, December 3rd, right? So just to kind of give you the timetable of what's going to be next, okay? So I do thank all of you for coming and expressing your opinions, whether for or against. So.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question? Yes, ma'am. Can I ask? Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible for you
you all to get a microphone system that works so we can hear.
Can you not hear us?
You know, when I've been coming up here for a little while, but every time I come, I know I'm getting older, but I can't hear. When that person stands up there and speaks, nobody back here, you're straining to hear. And sometimes we can't even hear what you guys are saying.
Well,
So it would really be good if
Well, we will work on that. It's the first time we've ever had a complaint, so maybe you're more attentive than most or deafer than most. I don't know, but we'll definitely will work on that. Thank you.
Look, Mr. Mayor, can I speak real quick?
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know if we can't over trump the planning board, but maybe we can. I'm not sure, but I would like to make a motion that we take this off of the whole. We can't do that.
You cannot do that.
Okay.
No.
I'd just like to say one thing. I appreciate everyone coming out. I understand business and I understand the importance of expanding a business. However, I just want our council members to respect. Did someone get hurt back there? I just want our council members to respect what the people have said from District 1. It's, please respect what they're saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move to item CU 13-8, Regina Exum.
Sure. All for those people who leave.
Hey, Jeff, wait just a minute.
Dorch and Harris, they were in Goldsboro High School when I was there. I would not have recognized 84. I think Zach was in my homeroom. I don't think I taught him. And Dorch, I didn't teach him at all, but his aunt was Geraldine.
I'll tell you what, Timothy Dorch.
Mr. Harris.
Yes, sir.
Did you go to Goldsboro High School? I did. And I taught there then. I think you were maybe in the homeroom. Sorry, my memory. It's a good age.
Oh, wait, I didn't hear y'all talking to me.
It's all good.
You're
good. Thank
and I appreciate everything you said because that was my actual remark I was going to make was about the community.
Well, it's great to see. It's great to see the community come out.
But thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Jennifer, I think we're getting close.
Three public hearings, don't we? Oh.
Item E is CU 1318 Regina Exum. The property is located on the north side of Royal Avenue between Jefferson Street and Teakwood Drive. The applicant's requesting a conditional use permit to allow the operation of an adult daycare in conjunction with an existing child daycare facility. The property is zoned neighborhood business, which allows for an adult daycare after the issuance of a conditional use permit approved by City Council. The site has operated as a child daycare since January of 2008. Currently, the North Carolina Division of Child Development licensed the facility for up to 40 children. In addition to child daycare services, the owner proposes to provide organized programs to senior adults in a supervised community group setting to promote social, physical, and emotional well-being. Certification is required for adult daycares by the North Carolina Division of Aging and Adult Services. Hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 12 midnight, and employees are 3 to 4. The site is served by 2 existing oversized driveway cuts off Royal Avenue, based on 1 space per 300 square feet of gross floor area, plus an unloading and loading area capable of stacking 4 vehicles. 6 parking spaces are required. Existing vegetation is sufficient to meet the intent of the city's landscape ordinance, and due to existing site conditions along Royal Avenue, a modification of street trees will be necessary. The applicant is also requesting a modification of the city's sidewalk installation requirement and requests to waive the fee in lieu of sidewalk. At this time, no action is necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for the council meeting on November the 3rd. And here is an elevation from Royal Avenue of the front of the building.
You said Royal?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And then this
That's a big
it
building,
just shows a
isn't it?
picture of where parking will be provided if granted the permit. Any questions? for staff?
Any questions? All right,
Is
thank you,
that
Jennifer.
big enough for adults and children?
It will have to be approved by the state.
Oh, okay. That's not that big a building.
Okay, this is a public hearing for conditional use permit to allow for the operation of an adult daycare center in conjunction with an existing child daycare facility. Would anybody like to speak? Would anybody like to speak? I see no one wanting to speak, so we're going to close this public hearing, and we're going to move to item F, Z 1718, Wayne County Historical Society.
Item F is Z1718, Wayne County Historical Association. The property is located on the south side of East Mulberry Street between North William Street and Patrick Street. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from R9 residential to CBD, which is Central Business District, in conjunction with site plan approval for the addition of a new parking lot. Currently, the site consists of 3 lots. 2 of the 3 lots are zoned Central Business District and are occupied by a museum and a parking lot which front North William Street. The 3rd lot is zoned R9 residential along East Mulberry Street. The applicant intends to develop the property into a parking lot for customers of the museum. The surrounding zoning to the north and south, you have Central Business District. To the east, you have R9 residential, and to the west, Central Business District. The city's comprehensive land use plan recommends mixed-use development or mixed-use downtown development for the property. The applicant is requesting a zone change in order to construct a new parking lot for customers of the museum. Since parking lots are not permitted in the R9 residential zoning district, a zoning change is necessary. The site plan indicates an existing 8,000 square foot 2-story building for masonry construction operated as a Wayne County museum. The hours of operation are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday through Friday and 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays. The site is currently served by a 24-foot wide access drive along North William Street. An additional 24-foot wide access drive is proposed along East Mulberry Street to replace an existing 10-foot asphalt drive surrounding the site. 29 parking spaces are required for the site, and the site plan shows a total of 43 paved and striped parking spaces, which also include required handicap spaces. Interior sidewalks have been provided for pedestrian access into the museum, and exterior city sidewalks along East Mulberry Street will be modified to include new concrete curb and gutter and handicap accessible ramps. Interconnectivity to adjacent properties along North William Street and East Mulberry Street have not been identified on the site plan. The applicant is requesting a modification of this requirement since existing site conditions will make connections impractical. A Type C 20-foot wide landscape buffer is required along the eastern property line and along a portion of the southern property line adjacent to residentially zoned and developed property. The applicant intends to install a 6-foot wide privacy fence approximately 150 feet from East Mulberry Street to the rear of the property, allowing for a 10-foot reduction in the required Type C buffer. In order to meet the required parking spaces for the site, the applicant is requesting an additional 5 feet reduction in the Type C buffer, reducing the overall required width of 20 feet to 5 feet. At this time, there is no action necessary, and Planning Commission will have a recommendation for Council's meeting on December the 3rd. This is a picture of the front of the museum from William Street. You can see the parking to the right. This is kind of the rear. This is from, this is the vacant lot. There was a home there that was recently demoed. This is the vacant lot at the rear where additional parking is being proposed. And again, this is just the museum elevation from Mulberry Street. Any questions for staff?
Any questions? All right, this is a public hearing for rezoning from R9 residential to CBD, Central Business District, in conjunction with a site plan approval and a new parking lot. Would anybody like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I need to get sworn.
No, you're good. You just need to come up to the podium.
We know who you are.
Mayor, City Council, I think it's pretty obvious that the museum has about 15 parking spaces, and we have many, many events happen on the weekend, like speakers and different shows that appeal to the general public. And this lot is vacant, and we have certainly worked hard to be sure that we follow all necessary procedure. but parking spaces are needed. The post office gets really angry when our customers park in the post office lot. The lawyers that have a building next door find that people park in their parking places. So the museum very badly does need more parking. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? Anybody else? All right, we're going to close this public hearing and we're going to move to Z 1818, Leonard and Doris Jones.
Item G is Z 1818 Leonard and Doris Jones. The property is located on the north side of Van Street between Bruce Street and Van Street terminus. The applicant's requesting rezoning from R6 residential to RM9 residential manufactured home to limit the use of the property to the placement of one manufactured home on the property. The surrounding zoning to the north and south, you have R6 residential, to the east RM9, and to the west R6 residential. The property is currently vacant, and as mentioned before, the applicant proposes placement of one manufactured home on the site. The city's adopted land use plan designates this property for high-density residential development. City water and sanitary sewer lines are available to serve the property, and the property is not located within a special flood hazard area. There are a number of manufactured homes within this area, and most recently, council approved rezoning requests for placement of mobile homes to the east and west of the subject property. The RM9 zoning district would require masonry underpinning, pitch roof, and horizontal siding. It will be required to have working windows and no rust and have the appearance of a site-built home. The city's unified development ordinance also requires that the manufactured home be placed parallel to the front property line. In 2017, City Council closed a portion of Bruce Street extending from Van Street to Colonial Terrace Drive. The applicant's requesting a modification that the home be placed parallel to what once was considered a public road, since parallel placement along Van Street would not be an option due to the lot width. At this time, there is no action necessary, and the Planning Commission will have a recommendation for council's meeting on December the 3rd. And here is a picture of the vacant lot, and you can see the road to the right obviously has been closed, and the applicant is requesting that the mobile home be placed parallel to what once used to be an existing street. Any questions?
That's not flood zone, is it?
No, sir.
All right, seeing no questions, this is a public hearing for a rezoning request from R6 residential to RM9 residential manufactured home. Would anybody like to speak? Anybody like to speak? I don't see anyone, so we're going to close this public hearing. And we're going to thank our hard-working Planning Commission for coming tonight, and you got a lot before you. It's always good to have business to do, right? So we hope each of you have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you for coming. And I'm sure y'all are probably going to want to go ahead and be excused, but you're welcome to stay if you want to. And then next we have a public hearing for the water treatment plant. Item H.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council.
Good evening.
I have item H tonight, which is a public hearing for the water treatment plant plate seller project, engineering report and environmental information document. Plate seller project will be used to enhance the water treatment and improve turbidity removal under all conditions, thereby increasing the treatment capacity from 12 to 14 million gallons a day at the water treatment plant. In 1994, the city of Goldsboro submitted an environmental assessment to the state of North Carolina requesting a finding of no significant impact for the Goldsboro water treatment plant expansion to 14 million gallons a day. On May 16th, 1994, at the time, the North Carolina Department of Environmental Health and Natural Resources issued a FONSI to expand the water treatment plant, but with the provision that tube or plate sellers would be needed to expand the plant from the 12 million gallon a day rate. During the 1994 project, construction for the 14 million gallon a day expansion was completed, except for the installation of the plate or tube settlers. The installation of the inclined plate settlers will complete the project. A 2-week comment period began on November 4th, 2018 and will end on November 19th, 2018. A public hearing must be held during the public comment period. Comments received at the public hearing and during the 15-day period will be incorporated into part of the environmental engineering report and environmental information document. An advertisement was published in Goldsboro News Argus relative to holding a public hearing and 2-week review. A draft engineering report and environmental information document for the plate seller project was made available at the city clerk's office and for digital copy by request. It's recommended that after the public hearing, that it's the recommendation of staff to incorporate any comments of the public hearing into the city's engineering report and information document.
Any questions from council?
I have a question not pertaining to this while you're here. I hate to put you on the spot, but a couple of constituents, they asked me why so late we were notified about the contamination of the water. Can you answer that for me?
I'm not aware of any contamination of the water.
When the storm came, they got something in their boxes stating that there was contamination in the water.
In the October bills, we had a violation that was in response to a combined filter effluent. I don't know if that's what they're referring to, but we've never had a contamination of water.
So can you clarify? It was just basically.
We have 7 filters at the water treatment plant. Each filter is required to remove so much turbidity. Turbidity is the cloudiness within the water. With that turbidity, it could be pathogens or parasites, those kinds of things. So you have your filtration. After the filters, you have a combined filter where you monitor that again. And so this is all before the disinfection process takes place. So we exceeded that for, I believe it was approximately 3 hours. And we notified the state. And so that violation was a tier 2 violation, which means we have 30 days to notify the public. It's not an immediate action to notify the public for that type of violation, because at that point in time, the disinfection process has not even started at this point. So we did what we were supposed to do according to.
So the water wasn't harmful to human consumption.
Correct, and all tests at the water treatment plant and out into the distribution system, there was no positive test for total coliform or any other parameters. We increased our disinfection chloramines during that time.
Thank you.
So if that's what.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was
asking,
around October, yes.
It's just a required report, right?
Correct.
That's what I think.
Thank you.
All right, so this is a public hearing to accept the recommendation of the city staff to incorporate any comments into the water treatment plant plate settler project. I feel sure we're gonna get a lot of people who want to talk about this, but they're not coming up. So we're gonna close this public hearing, and really, I guess today, the 19th, so today was your last day for the public comment time. So, and since there are no public comments, I guess we're not gonna worry about a motion to incorporate them, correct?
I think you still need to make a motion, even though there were no comments, that you accept any comments into.
Okay,
it's a technicality of.
All right, can I have a motion to accept any comments, though there were no comments, if there were comments, into our engineering report?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed likewise, motion carries. We proper now? Good deal. All right, so that's the last of our public hearing. And next we have public comment time. So anybody from the audience who would like to come up and speak up to 3 minutes, now would be your time. Would anybody from the audience like to speak? Good evening.
Good evening, Council. I'm here to express some frustrations that I have. In a November 13th hearing with your Community Development Director, she basically said something that was really false about me. She said a lot of things that was false about Councilman Williams. It was for a restraining order. The judge denied her request, and even though the judge denied her request, she said she's not finished, she's going to continue this. And now she's taking this to federal court. So what that basically means to me is, since she's now taking this to federal court, we all will be subpoenaed in order to testify. Now, when I say we all, I mean myself, Councilman Williams, and this council, as well as the attorney, city manager, previous city manager, IT, and some employees, as well as her assistant. In that meeting, she called you out. She stated that she was very upset with you because you betrayed her. You put her up to this. She wanted to put stuff in the paper sooner opposed to later. You told her no.
Are you saying you as in me?
Yes.
Okay.
She stated that Councilman Ham, Councilman Acock, since you guys were there with her on the October 15th meeting, that you would be willing to come in.
I was not with her.
And I'm just telling you what she stated in open court. And there were other citizens there, that you all would be willing to corroborate her lie that Councilman Williams was violent. She stated that she's been sending documents to the city attorney for quite some time, that you advised her that it was a personal issue. However, the judge disagreed with that. She said, in fact, this was not a personal issue, but a personnel issue. She talked about IT. She has IT preserving records for her. I mean, this is disturbing to me because this has affected me. It's affected my business. That you have a council that's conspiring against another councilman in order to have a negative outcome. That's very troubling. And for a person who's supposed to be in the community to unify and to bring positive vibes, I'm all about positive vibes. She's dividing a community and she's undermining all of us. So I'd like to know, since we're now going to federal court and we're going to be subpoenaed, seems like we're now all on the same team. What are we going to do?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to speak? Anybody else? All right, we're going to close the public comment and we're going to move to consent agenda.
Mayor and City Council, pursuant for your considerations are item I through N of the consent agenda for approval.
All right, we need a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mayor Allen,
Here. I mean, yes, I'm sorry.
Mayor Pro Tem Hammond.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Councilmember Rosser.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Councilmember Foster.
Yes.
Councilmember Aycock.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda is approved. The next item is have items requiring individual action. The resolution to support Carver Heights was voted at the work session to take this off, so we won't be voting on that. Next, we'll have city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just remind everybody that the PC Coley Community Center ribbon cutting and dedication will be on Wednesday at November 21st at 10 a.m. Downtown Lights Up will be tomorrow night from 5 to 8 p.m., followed by the North Carolina Symphony at the Paramount Theater, which will begin at 8 tomorrow night. The Goldsboro Christmas Parade will be held on Saturday, December 1st at 4 p.m. As a reminder, everybody that city offices will be closed Thursday and Friday in observance of Thanksgiving, so all sanitation routes scheduled for Thursday and Friday will be picked up on Wednesday. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Councilor reports, we'll start with Mr. Aycock.
No report.
Mr. Foster?
No comment.
Mr. Ham?
No comment.
Mr. Stevens?
I just want to say many thanks to the Art Council and all their staff for their anniversary celebration that took place yesterday from 2 to 5 for 55 years of being in place. And then also want to invite everyone out in the community to come to the TC Coley Community Center ribbon cutting and celebrate the survival of that facility and the future endeavors that will be taking place by Mr. Ashford and all the groups that will come to be using that facility. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rowley?
No comment.
Mr. Williams?
Has anybody ever lied on you? Scandalized your name? People whispering in others' ears about you. There's been damaging accusations about my character that has affected my family, myself, and my community, the community that I serve. I have, as a result, been removed from the GWTA board, a board that I represented you on, a board that I was removed from without due process, based on false allegations. Now District 1 has lost its voice on that board. We are approaching Thanksgiving this week, and I am most thankful that the truth has prevailed and these false allegations have been dismissed. Most will have the opportunity to sit down with loved ones and break bread to enjoy good food and laughter. Let's not forget about the less fortunate. We still have time to forgive those that have hurt us. There is so much to be thankful for. I am thankful for my recent trip to Los Angeles, where I learned so much from the National League of Cities, programs that will help our city. While in LA, I visited homeless people. I visited a tent city in Skid Row. There were families living in tents. I talked with those people. Most have good demeanors, even though they were experiencing tough times. So I say in closing, be thankful, have a great Thanksgiving, hashtag positive vibes. God bless.
Thank you, sir. Just following up on, Randy took about all mine, but tomorrow night is Lights Up. We usually have a really good turnout, but it's supposed to be really pretty, so we want a really good turnout. The TC Coley ribbon cutting is this Wednesday at 10. It would be really great to have a good turnout there. I can tell you this past Saturday, we had a work session. Y'all should have seen poor Octavius out there working. He was about to have a stroke. He was working so hard. But anyway, we had a really good turnout. They did some really good stuff. The building really looks good. And so we're excited about this ribbon cut. I think it's going to be a great asset to the community and just a real tribute to the Coley family. So we're excited about that. We don't want to forget the Christmas parade coming up December the 1st, right? First Saturday in December at 4 o'clock, right?
4 o'clock, yes.
All right, so that's always a good, fun time. So we want to encourage everybody to do that. And following Councilmember Williams' comments, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a safe Thanksgiving. And certainly remember those who don't have as much as we do and those who are in need, because everybody can do something to help somebody. And that's what makes our community great, is helping somebody. So I would just encourage anybody to do what you can for your neighbor or those that you know might be in need. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Thank you. We stand adjourned.